Today we're checking out the Wuben X4. I bet you're going to see a lot of videos today because it launches today, the same date that this video goes live. The X4 is a compact flat-form 18650 cell batteried EDC flashlight with a ton of features. Let's take a look and see if this flashlight is worthy of being your next EDC flashlight, or it's all hype and should stay on the shelf. What's going on, everybody? This is Lamar with MFN Research, and today we're taking a look at this guy. This is the Wuben X4. Before we get into all the details and the review, I want to talk to you about how this light came in my possession. So this one right here is the Wuben X4. I backed this guy on Kickstarter, but like if you saw my vacation EDC video, me being somebody that completely forgot that I had a flashlight in my pocket, walked into the ocean with the slider up so salt water got in it. While it is waterproof, it is not salt waterproof. So this one no longer works like it should. Reached out to the folks at Wuben. They were kind enough to send me this Wuben X4 to replace the other one to actually do a review on it. So I did back the Kickstarter. They did send it to me. I actually backed the Kickstarter before they even started working with me. So I think right around that E7 review that I did, you can check that one out as well. So the first thing you notice when you look at the Wuben X4 is it's a rectangular flashlight with an aluminum body. It's got plenty of designs and details and contours and things like that. And I think it will look right at home with my Gunpla collection. It looks nice and futuristic. So now let's just go over the light and let's talk about what you see on the exterior. So the first thing you're gonna notice when you look at it is just the rotary wheel for the adjustments of the different colors in the RGB mode, some of the intensities in the side light mode. So here on the side, you've got the power button along with the slider to change the different modes. And then you've also got, when you have it at the top, the USB-C port, and then at the bottom is where you lock it out. And once it's in this mode, it's protected from dust and water. So on the back, you'll just see the other side of that rotary clip, and the only other thing I've mentioned here is the belt clip that's on here. And it's the usual belt clip on some of their larger flashlights in the X lineup that you've seen it before. And then on the other side, the only thing to note here is the lock to the battery door, and it's a pretty solid lock. Make sure I don't do it the right way this time. And then that's just a lock to the battery. And with that, we'll just go to the bottom. So there's that 18650 battery right there. Close that door, lock it up. This is where the magnet is housed. And then this is the tail switch right here for your tactical modes and things like that. And then on the other side, you've got just the 4 LEDs for the different light modes and things like that. And that's what the flashlight looks like. So right now, you'll see it in gray. It also comes in black and it comes in white as well. And I'm sure, just like Wuben with all their other flashlights, they're gonna come with different colors and limited editions and things like that. So if you don't see the color you like right away, be on the lookout for that in the future. So as we said before, it's a 3400 milliamp hour 18650 lithium ion battery. It comes in at 1.47 by 1.04 by 3.77 inches. It weighs 3.21 ounces without the battery and then 4.97 with the battery. It's got a standby runtime of 720 hours in the moonlight level. And then what I'll do is I'll just put the light mode information on the screen while we get what's in the box. So I already took it out, and what you have in the box is you have the manual, and that's a pretty good manual. And in the box, there's not a lot this time. Wuben usual unboxing experiences pretty well. I never show it on here, but there are other YouTubers that do and do a great job of that, so check them out. So here's what you get. You get the flashlight, you get the owner's manual, you get a USB-C cable, USB-A to C cable, and then you get just the lanyard right here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the light modes. So first on the side, you've got the slider that goes from moonlight right there to the front light, which is right there. And I'll turn it up so it's a little brighter. And then it has the side light, which is right there. And then on the bottom is locked out. When you're in the RGB mode, you gotta turn it on in between switching modes. The rotary dial switches all of the different colors like that. And then what you can do is you hold it down, it switches from the RGB to the white light, and the rotary dial adjusts the brightness on the light like that. And then you can switch it to the front mode, and that's the light mode. And then I'm not gonna shine it in your face, but you'll just notice that as you move the rotary dial, it gets brighter, just like some of their other flashlights with rotary dials. And then the other mode that you can use is the tail switch. And so the thing about the tail switch is when you have it in the moonlight mode, it'll just stay on moonlight mode just like that. And you don't have to hold on to the tactical switch. When you're in either the front light or the side light mode, it works absolutely the same. So you just got a momentary on. So as long as you press it down, it holds the light on. And I'm gonna warn you, 3, 2, 1 for the strobe. Here we go. And that's just the strobe. We'll do that real quick. It's a strobe with a double tap. And then we've already gone through the RGB, but we'll spend a little bit more time there. And now we'll go through the RGB just a little bit because there's a lot of features in here. So that rotary dial changes it. And then depending on what color you're on, if you double tap, it'll change it to a flash. And so I'll show you on the blue, it gives you the blue flash. And then on the red, it gives you the red flash. And then the last mode in the RGB mode is if you have it off and you double tap, it'll do the red and blue flashing lights. So those are just the RGB modes and things like that. So about the pricing, I can't really talk about it right now because at the time I'm recording this video, they haven't released the pricing. So what I'll do is in the first comment, I'll pin it and I'll put the pricing there for your reference. So if you're interested, you can take a look at that. But as always, I'll have links in the description. They are affiliate links. They won't cost you anything extra, but they will help the channel out just a little bit. So now that we've gone through the light, let's talk about some of the things that I like. I love the compact form factor for what it is. It is not a small flashlight and it doesn't try to be, but it's compact in the hand for what it is. I like the different light modes. I like the red. I like the side light. I like the front light. I like all that functionality. I like that it's got this replaceable 18650 in there. Yes, it is USB-C charging, but if you have an extra one of these, like I do, you can just take one of those with you and you got plenty of battery life on the go for you. So the user interface is a lot easier than I expected. It does take a little bit of time with any of these flashlights to get used to it, but it's not bad. And one thing, and I'll show you some B-roll of it, is the user manual doesn't only show you the diagram of the different light modes, it also has a section where it explains the light modes to you so you understand what you're doing. So I really appreciate that extra level of detail in the owner's manual. I don't think I've ever been able to shout out the owner's manual or user guide in one of the things that I like, but I think it was a really good one. Let me see if I have it over here. I don't, it's downstairs. I was gonna say comparing the G5, and I'll show the D10 in some B-roll. I do think the D10 is just a hair stronger on the X4 than it is the G5. If you watch my video on that, that was one of my issues with it. I do think it's better. We'll talk about it a little more in the next section. I like the tail switch. It's very easy to actuate. It's pretty comfortable. And it seems like a natural when you have it this way. So I do like that tail switch. I like how the flashlight looks. I like the design. I like that it'll sit right up here with my Gundam stuff and you wouldn't even notice it. I like the side light that's dimmable. You can put that on the table and use it as a reading lamp or something like that. So I like that versatility of that. And it's dimmable. So if you don't need it really bright, you can bring it down a little bit. So we talked about what I like. Let's talk about the areas where I think it can improve. I do think that something between this and this, the ergonomics of switching between this button and this button, because the tail cap is the only way to get the strobe. So I wish there was an easier way to go between that, but that I really think is just kind of the design of the light. Thinking of some of the other lights where you have the button here and the tail switch, I mean, you still have to reach between the two, but we'll talk about another suggestion that I have in a minute that may address that problem. And that is put the strobe function right here. I thought I saw something that a shortcut for the rotary on the turbo, but it's a shortcut to this being super bright. And I wish there was a way to maybe rotate this and double tap, or I don't know, some kind of UI to get the strobe from here. If you have the light like this, I don't want to have to go like this to get to the strobe if I actually need it. So now let's talk about the magnetic base. I feel like it works best when the tail switch is oriented down just like this. When it's like this, it works, but it still works a little more sturdy like this. And when it's like this, it likes to slide. So I'll show you that in a little bit of B-roll. So just be mindful of that if you're using the magnet on here. When you're switching, it turns off. I wish that it would stay on when you switch between modes, just to make that changing between different modes a little bit faster. Because sometimes if I'm going from the front light to the side light, I'd like that to be a little more quick. I wouldn't mind having a UV mode in here. That would be nice to have as well. Some people would like the red light or the UV mode. My perfect light would have red light and UV mode, and maybe not necessarily the RGB. Just because of the size and the weight, while it works, no problem, the clip is fine for it. It wouldn't be my first choice to wear on the front of a hat. I think this works best as a secondary flashlight that you're gonna put somewhere So I wouldn't do that. It fits, like I said, no problem, but I wouldn't wear it on a hat. I'd go for something a little bit smaller. Looking at the pocket clip, I wish it was maybe oriented for deep carry, but I'm sure you can't do that this way. So I wish it was changed just a little bit so it'll sit a little bit lower in your pocket, pouch, or bag. And while the detents are better than the G5, I wish that the detents were a little bit stronger and maybe make the one for the lockout a little more forcing. So this one's really tough to get open, and then these are about like this. I wouldn't mind that. So that way I'm sure it's locked. I don't have to worry about accidentally bumping it up. So that'd be something I'd like to see as well. And again, I talked about it before, the tail being the only way to actuate the strobe. I wish you had a couple options to actuate the strobe. So that is my review of the Wuben X4. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you're picking one up today on launch day. I'll again put the price in the description. It seems like I've picked up a pretty good collection of flashlights and Wuben flashlights. So I think I'm gonna do some flashlight roundups here in the future, maybe a small flashlight roundup, and then maybe go through some of the Wuben flashlights. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. And I'd really love to get my hands on that E8 from Wuben as well, just to put that in the lineup as well. So I might wait on that Wuben roundup until I get my hands on that if I gotta buy that myself. Final thoughts on the light. I think it's a great pouch, bag, sling, EDC flashlight. I don't think this is a good pocket flashlight just because of the size. You can fit it in your pocket. I put it in my pocket just to test it out, but I think it serves better as that in the bag or in the pouch flashlight. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'm Lamar with MF and Research, and I'm out.